2022 marks the second implementation year of Pcaarrd'S banner Gender and Development Project, which aims to integrate GAD into the management and implementation of R&D initiatives in AANR. The project team is the focal group in facilitating gender mainstreaming in the Council. Gender mainstreaming is the major global strategy for ensuring that governments pursue GAD in all aspects of the development process. This is emphasized by the United Nations and echoed by the Philippine Commission on Women. To ensure strategic gender mainstreaming in Pcaarrd', the project team adopted implementation tools prescribed by PCW. First of which is the formulation of the Council's indicative GAD agenda. This is a framework for national agencies to identify its GAD goals and target outcomes and to assess the resulting impacts of such. More importantly, it helps a national agency be proactive in meeting the legal requirement that at least 5% of its total budget appropriations shall be allocated to the implementation of its GAD programs. To accompany the GAD agenda, the project team formulated the indicative GAD action plan, which details the specific deliverables per goal. It also includes a manual for ISP managers and project leaders on how to increase the gender responsiveness of our funded projects using the standards of PCW. The contents of the GAD agenda and GAD action plan are based on the following: the baseline assessment of GAD integration within Pcaarrd'S processes and staff knowledge, consultation meetings with a PCW certified GAD expert, inputs from PCW and DOST Central Office's GAD unit. Since the project's first year of implementation, the project team has assisted in the development and currently leads the monitoring and evaluation of 7 gender-responsive R&D initiatives. The first project is preparing an annotated compendium on the existing literature and R&D initiatives related to GAD in AANR. It will produce a strategic GAD R&D framework.
We see that there are still barriers to assessing gender perspective. This information will be a valuable opportunity to take stock of best practices and to determine the interventions to address the gaps and institutionalize the implementation of these interventions in AANR.
A different project is developing a gender analysis framework and tools to facilitate making all aspects of R&D in AANR gender responsive. Under natural resources, a project is assessing the gender-specific impacts of forest conservation programs in Philippine indigenous communities. As an action research, a project is capacitating farmers in organic vegetable production and marketing while creating awareness on GAD among production partners and cooperators. A different project is designing gender-responsive enabling mechanisms to create effective and efficient knowledge transfer pathways for the adoption of best practices and technological innovation in vegetable production. Lastly, a project is developing S&T-based root and tuber crops value chains that are crisis-resilient, gender-responsive, and led by public institutions.
Mayor Rachel Ubana of the Municipality of Lopez, Quezon, the local DTI has also actively engaged in the process. Bringing in a gender and crisis resiliency perspective takes R&D to task in addressing many of the otherwise invisible opportunities for sustainable livelihoods and food security.
Lastly, the banner GAD project of Pcaarrd', which integrates GAD into the management and implementation of R&D initiatives in AANR. To strengthen the impact of our gender mainstreaming beyond Picard, the project team is hosting 7 batches of training workshops on the use of gender analysis tools and gender statistics for R&D management and implementation. Over 70 researchers and project leaders from Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao have been capacitated so far.
Why mainstream GAD in R&D programs and activities? Ano ngayon kung makadevelop ng maraming cultivars? People is another P of the 6 Ps. A very important P, the use of gender lens to identify and address gender concerns at the start of project identification and design should be mainstreamed in R&D activities to ensure that the results of these activities benefited those who needed them most.
In managing R&D projects from conceptualization to implementation, oftentimes we are focused on the needs and needs of the technical and administrative aspects. Usually, we overlook to consider gender-based issues and concerns that is essential for our initiatives to become more inclusive. Big thanks to this unique capacity building initiative. And now I am more gender sensitive in the outputs I create.
Most of the research projects I worked on are highly technical in the field of aquaculture, specifically in mangrove crabs. And what I love most about our workshop on GA tools is how it shows us the importance of keeping in touch with local communities so that we can foresee the potential impacts of our work, not just on communities in general, but between men and women.
In line with national mandates on gender mainstreaming, the project team accomplished the Gender Mainstreaming Evaluation Framework. This is used by the DOST Central Office and PCW to measure the level by which GAD is mainstreamed in a national agency. Prior to the project, PCW and DOST Central Office validated that the level of gender mainstreaming in Picard is at foundation formation. This indicates that the GAD efforts are at the awareness and support phrasing stage. 2 years since the project's implementation and through the support of the Directors Council and top management, the gender mainstreaming in Picard is at GAD application. This indicates that the GAD efforts are already institutionalized and strategic within the organization.
Policy po, gusto sana namin na talagang magkakaroon kami ng polisiya na kasama na sa specific objective ng bawat project na pag-a-address ng GAD. Pagdating po naman sa programs and projects, ang ating pong plano ay talagang mapalawak pa. And then magpurso pa tayo na marami pang program, projects na sa tungkol sa GAD. Pagdating po sa people, kailangan po natin pagpatuloy yung capacity building. Ngayon po, ang Pcard po kasi nasa level 3, no? Pero tingin namin, ASEC, level 4 na nga daw. Officially kami ay level 3, pero tingin namin sa ginagawa namin sa gender, siguro level 4.
Level 4, ayun. Okay. Yung Pcaarrd ho, yung sinasabi ni Dr. Brown, ay napakagaling din ho nila dyan. Naipasok ninyo itong GAD sa mga proposals na submit sa Pcaarrd for funding. Yung Pcaarrd, they see to it na sa mga programa, mga proyektong pinopropose sa kanila, ay naka-mainstream ang GAD.
This framework was used by the DOST Central Office for the DOST GAD Mainstreaming Awards, where Picard placed second under the agency category. In 2023, the project aims to intensify the Council's gender mainstreaming in line with national and DOST-wide GAD mandates.